Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Elliot Kallen. I am the host of Meet the Expert with Elliot Kallen, a top 2% financial podcast in the entire world. Today, we're excited. It's a short 10-minute broadcast on the 401k world, and this is designed for people who are trustees, administrators on this, key people, HR managers, CFOs, people that run 401k / profit sharing plans. This is going to be so important to you, and it's quick. So make sure you're writing this down, and don't be afraid to reach out to me afterwards for more information or even a recording at 925-314-8503 or Elliot, ELLIOT, at prosperityfinancialgroup.com, or the website is prosperityfinancialgroup.com, and we manage in excess almost of $100 million. Come contact us. We're a $500 million entity, and I want to welcome right now Trey Banton, Regional Vice President for Transamerica Retirement Services. Welcome, Trey.
Elliot, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it very much.
You're welcome. He's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on in the 401k market. Trey is one of the most greatest wealth of information people that I know on the 401k market. Listen carefully. You're going to come away with a nugget here. So Trey, let me get right into a couple questions. Can we do that?
Sure, please.
Okay. So changes in the 2025 retirement rules, retirement goals, there are a whole bunch of them. What are some of those that trustees, administrators, HR managers should be aware of?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the rules have actually really changed from two different levels. They've changed from both the state level and the federal level. So from the state level, as you're aware, most companies with more than 5 employees have to have retirement plans in place or join CalSavers, which is a state mandated program. The state of California actually just decided that starting in 2025, if you have between 1 and 4 employees, you're going to actually have to have a plan in place or join the state mandated program, again, which is CalSavers. So that's the state level. Now, on a federal level, you're looking at a little more benefits for us. So as you know, we had the Secure Act come through. It's Secure Act 2.0. So there are things in there that do affect plan sponsors and HR managers. Number one, for 2025, the limits have increased for individual employees. They've gone for $23,000 for deferral up to $23,500. Again, that's a total limit between pre-tax and Roth contributions. If you are eligible for a catch-up contribution, which means you're age 50 or greater, your total catch-up contribution didn't change for 2025. It's still $7,500. But there is a caveat because of the new Secure Act. And if you're between the ages of 60 and 64, then your actual increase for the catch-up contribution has gone to $11,250. Now, why they have it for just those years only, I'm not sure. But that's a big change if you're above the age of 60, between 60 and 64. In 2026, I will point out that if you are a highly paid employee, any catch-up contributions you make will actually have to be a Roth contribution. You will not have the option of doing a pre-tax contribution. So that's number one. Number two is looking at pooled plans. So in the Secure Act, you have what's called a pooled plan or a group solution out there. And what the intent of that rule was to make it easier for plan sponsors to actually put plans in place. So what it's doing is taking one major platform and allowing multiple adopters into that program. So you have one plan and have 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 adopters going into that program. Now, why would they do that? Number one is you're outsourcing all the fiduciary liabilities. So when it comes to plan administration, when it comes to investments, all that liability is now out the door. Plan sponsors are now only responsible for plan design and remitting contributions and allowing fiduciaries, advisors to go in and do education meetings for the employees on a regular basis. Number two is you're seeing reductions in pricing. You're seeing that reduction in pricing because you're bringing all these different companies together. So you're seeing the ability for economies of scale. And so the overall price of these programs have come way down versus a single employer plan. In terms of administrative outsourcing, whether it be loans or distributions or quadros or statements or mailings or whatever it may be, that's all being shifted to the platform versus going to the plan sponsor to be sent out. So again, reducing the amount of work a plan sponsor has to do. And if you are eligible for an audit, and the audit rules did change, you're actually eligible for an audit if you have 100 employee account balances or greater. The change from 2022 is it was based on eligible employees. In 2022, if you had 120 eligible employees, you had to do an audit. That changed to account balances. So if you have 100 account balances, you have to do an audit. And the nice thing about the audit within a pooled plan is you actually only have to do one audit. Each of the individual employers does not have to do an audit. The plan as a whole does. So what happens is you actually have the cost of that audit being split between all of the adopters. So the average cost of these audits is about $500 versus the typical cost of an audit on a single employer plan being about $15,000 to $18,000 in California. So those are the big changes on pooled plans. We've had some great success with pooled plans this year. We've actually done about 2,100 pooled plans this year alone, and we're going to do about $4.7 billion in new assets into those programs. So again, they've rolled out in the last 3 to 4 years. People are playing catch up, but we're definitely seeing a big pop in those areas. Lastly, for the Secure Act, I talk about the cash balance plans. There are a lot of companies out there that actually are making profits nowadays and are looking for ways to shelter those profits. The best way to do that is going to be through a cash balance plan. So if you want to get above the normal limits, your normal limit for you as an individual is $69,000 or $76,500. If you are a highly paid and a employee over the age of age 50, if you want to have a greater contribution going in, a cash balance plan is probably the best way to go. And what they are, think about the old defined benefit plans. So basically, you're allowed to put money in based on retirement age of 65. So if you're starting at age 60 and you're playing catch up, you can throw $200,000 to $300,000 a year in just for the key employees of that company. So that's a big way to save some money. Now, the big part of the Secure Act said we can actually do these now in the following year for the previous year. What that means is in 2025, I can actually put a cash balance plan in for 2024 and back that up to January 1st. Now, why is that important? Because the rules also say we only have to have these plans in place for 3 years. So if you know what you did in 2024, you have an idea of what you're going to do in 2025. In 2026, you have to do the plan for that year also. But after that, you can actually terminate that plan and roll it into an IRA or some other retirement account. So those are the 3 big federal changes that I'm seeing for 2025. So that's where I'm going with these right now. That's what I'm seeing people ask about. So if we can help employers with that, I'm more than happy to do so.
All right, we're talking with Trey Banton, Regional VP of Transamerica. I'm Elliot Kallen of Prosperity Financial Group. And this show is dedicated and target marketed to CFOs, controllers, CEOs, HR managers, administrators, anybody that touches in any form the company's 401k, profit sharing, or retirement plans. There are some great things. Trey, I got 2 more questions for you. This is
Please.
great. I'm a big fan of best practices. Really
Yep.
big fan. And my third question is kind of a derivative of that question as well. And so I look at best practices because so many important people listening to this. What are the best practices that plan sponsors should be aware of?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the biggest one I've seen recently is plan benchmarking. So typically, as a best practice, you should benchmark your plan every 3 years. So you're looking at the plan, the structure. You're going out and looking at pricing, making sure pricing is in line with the rest of the industry. You also want to document that process. So what benchmarking is going to do is going to look at the 96 new laws that just rolled out in 2022. Now, are we taking advantage of those laws? Are we aware of those laws? Are we compliant with those laws? Number 2 is going to be fee compression. So you've seen a lot more fee compression over the last several years. So if you haven't revisited your plan in the last several years, odds are you can get a much better deal than what you currently have now. And then number 3 is target date funds. And I bring this up because target date funds tend to be what's called a QDIA, or Qualified Default Investment Alternative. So all target date funds are not made the same. So there's different ways of looking at them, different ways to benchmark them. You want to make sure you have the right target date series of funds for your employee base. So there's a lot of good research out there, and I can provide you with whatever you need or whatever your clients need.
Great. And my third question actually was about the target date best practices.
Okay.
We know that there are lots of great funds out there. Fidelity created them with the Freedom Funds, but that's kind of a mixed result. You got T. Rowe, you got American, you got a lot of them out there to JP Morgan to choose from here. Yep. Some of them are considered 2, which means they go at age 65, they begin to get less risky, and some of them go forever. They don't take any risk, any
Yep.
risk on. When a company's looking at these, and we know that 60% of all the assets basically across the country are pretty close to being in target date funds, what should they consider?
Yeah, that's a good question. So actually, as an industry, what we're trying to do is two things. Number one, get the average deferral rate up to 10% for employees. So we're doing that through automatic enrollments and auto escalations. But more importantly, we're looking at trying to get about 90% of new monies going into target date funds. And we're doing that because most employees don't go back and revisit their portfolio once they set them up. So when you're looking at portfolios, you want to understand what the goals are. So you have to and through portfolios. So a two portfolio says I'm going to do until age 65. At 65, it's going to level off. You're going to have no more reduction in risk in that portfolio. It's going to stay at a level, and it's typically going to be between 35 and 40% in equities and between 60 and 65% in bonds. You want to have the equity exposure because you want to be able to have the ability to outpace inflation. On a through portfolio, you're actually managing it up to age 85. And the idea is that it's trying to have a glide path that declines in risk over a longer period of time because they believe employees aren't actually going to take all their money out at 65. So they want to make sure they outpace inflation in the long term. So
Right.
It really just depends on what you're trying to do.
So if you're somebody that finds this interesting and you're in charge of the 401k, the profit sharing plan, or you even touch it, best thing to do is reach out to myself at 925-314-8503 or Elliot, ELLIOT at Prosperity Financial Group, and let us do a free benchmark for you. We'll do it for free. We'll include people like Trey. Trey is at the top of his game, but it's a competitive market, and we want to make sure that you have the best plan with the best prices, with the best product for your company. That's so important to do. And Trey is a big asset in our world. That's what we're here for. We've been doing this for 30 years at Prosperity Financial Group. Give us a call. We look forward to meeting with you. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you very much, Elliot. Have a great day.